Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Deep3 podcast. Today, my guest is Alex Olah from Breogan, Lugo, and I think a lot of people in the Midwest know him from his Northwestern days. And Alex, welcome.
What's up, everybody? Glad to be here.
All right, so Alex has a long story. He started basketball in Romania. They came over to the U.S. His junior year of high school, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Then played high school 2 years. Went to Northwestern, where I believe you do hold a record there for the blocks, right?
All-time block leader.
There you go. There you go. And then he's been a pro overseas. He went back to Europe and played in Belgium, Netherlands, where else? Romania, and now he's currently in Spain with the Breogan Lugo.
Yep.
All right, Alex. So tell us a little bit. Let's take it back to the days where you left Romania to come to the U.S. How was that transition for you?
It was tough. For me, I had no idea about college basketball or high school basketball or anything other than the NBA. I had no idea what was it about. So, or even the lifestyle. I just went in blindly, and I said, this is a great opportunity for me. I'm going to jump on it and then try to do the best out of it. If I cannot manage it, if I cannot practice, if I don't make it in there, I can always come back. So I went in there, and it was unbelievable. I met a great family, a host family in Indiana, in Whitestown, and I stayed with them for 2 years, and there I went to high school. As soon as I landed in the States, in Chicago, I had to drive 3 hours to Indiana. And halfway there, I met my host family for the first time. And it was, it was a switch between the cars, like somebody just sold me to them, it was just like, here, take the bags and then go with them. I'm like, all right. So, my very first experience was when I went to a volleyball tournament with my sister, and when I got there, I wanted to go to the bathroom, and then a cheerleader came, and she was in my way. And her first reaction, and pretty much everybody else's reaction in the States, was like, oh my gosh, you were so tall. And she looks at me, and I think she was like maybe 5'2", 5'1". I'm not exaggerating. Like she was short. And then she asked me like, "Hey, like how tall are you? You're so tall." And I just got there, and I'm like 2 meters and 10 centimeters. She looked at me like,
What?
What planet are you from? And I started panicking. I'm like, I don't know what to tell her. And then luckily my host mom came from behind, and she said like, yeah, he's 6'10", like he just came from Romania. And then I went to the bathroom, and I just splashed, cold water on my face, like, okay, like I'm here in the middle of
Reset.
what? But yeah, let's do this. So yeah, in the first couple of weeks, I did not get out of my bedroom, only to eat and go to school and practice. I was really shy, but as soon as I got to know my host parents, everything was amazing. I got so lucky to be with them and be hosted by them.
Yeah, I think for a lot of people, they don't understand this transition to like speaking English all the time. It's just so hard to do it in school, especially in school. And then you come home to your new home, whatever, and then it's the same. And it's you don't always find your words, right? I think that was my struggle. The first few months, you couldn't really find your words. And actually, I had a teammate back then who was a really good friend of mine, and I lived with him for 2 years, so you can see he's my brother. And we're pressing, I think it was like a 1-2-1-1 press, and I was at the top. So I turned around, I was like, you guys speak to me, right? Speak. He looks at me, he's like, what? It's like, you mean talk? I was like, yeah, talk. Like, right? So you try to communicate, but it's not always the same. And as you learn in the books back home. So
Yeah.
it's definitely a culture shock and adjustment period. But how about the basketball side of things? How was that for you?
I mean, basketball was natural. I've been doing that already, so it came natural to me. Um, Definitely, it was a big adjustment there too in the individual workouts. The accent, like it was, they were really drilling that in practice. And back home, we almost never did that. Like it was literally like run around the court for like 5 minutes to warm up, stretch a little bit, and then just play 5 on 5. And then here in the States, I started doing like ball handling, a bunch of other workouts like slides. I was like, wow, like this is really different, and I really felt like it's improving my game and pretty fast too. Um, and the other thing about basketball was just the facilities they have. It's just such a big difference. There are from high school, especially like my whole summer, and Indiana, and for everybody that knows that Indiana is a pretty big basketball state, and some high school gyms there are as big as some college gyms, arenas. Which is for me, when I've been to one, and when I find that out, it just blew my mind. Like how can this be? Because in Romania, we barely have good gyms for the first league, so. Um, and then the competition, it was just so much more physical and faster, I believe. Kids have been playing for since they were young, like really early age. And when I got there, I've been playing basketball for 2 years, so they already got some experience, and I had to catch up. Luckily, I was maybe talented enough, and then my height also helped to stay above above them all. But yeah, I got lucky. Also, I got coached by Dave Jamerson. He played in the NBA and also played for Ohio State. I believe he still holds the record for most points in a game at Ohio. Yeah, 60 game. Like he's a great shooter. He was an unbelievable. He practiced with us. He was kicking our butt in practice, man. Like it was so funny. But I got coached by him, and that was amazing because he played at the highest level. So I had a lot to learn from him on the court and off the court. So. So far, I had my foundations or fundamentals from Romania, and then I got to the States. I tweaked them and got them a lot better, so I can go play in college in the NCAA.
Next level, yeah, that's pretty cool. And yeah, I've been through that transition, so I really understand everything that you're talking about. But this stuff can be, it can be new for some people. So how was that recruiting process as far as college goes? Because as an American, you know all this stuff, right? So when I came in, I had no idea what it meant to be recruited. I was getting all these letters, and I was like, does UNC really want me? Like, no, they just send you a letter. You're somewhere on the list.
Yeah.
Just kind of get a feel. So I was like, oh, okay, so that's how it goes. And you learn so much about the process as far as who really wants you on their team, who's just, you're one of the fallout guys, if their main options don't work out for a scholarship, or if you're just kind of on their radar, just, hey, fill out this questionnaire with your height, weight, and where you play, and, maybe we'll make some time, come see you play or something. And it's just different, you don't know coming from Europe or anywhere else in the world, coming from the US, you don't really know all this stuff. So how did you deal with, colleges approaching you, approaching the coaching staff? And yeah, just tell us about that process.
So my process actually started like a year before I left. That was the first time I got in touch with some college coaches. I got a phone call. I forgot what college it was. They said they were interested. interested in me and if I'd like to come to the States, in high school or whatnot. And then Northwestern found me, and the way they found me was through European Championships. Uh, Apparently, one of the coaches was there. They were watching us. Romania played in Division B. I played in Division B, and it's a difference. Obviously, when you play in Division A, you probably get more exposure, and so apparently there are college coaches that in Division B too, and I had no idea. I was just playing, I was just doing my job.
Right now, it's getting a lot. I left in 2004. Clearly, left. A few years after that, so it's gotten a lot better. I think that's great because college coaches acknowledge that. When I left, there was no social media, there was no all this stuff, so it was very difficult. It was just difficult to get seen by colleges. So you were fortunate enough to be seen by at the European Championship, and that's pretty awesome. How about the AAU process? Did you go through that or?
Yeah. So I came to the States and played high school, and I played in AAU my junior year, before my junior year, and then afterwards also before my senior year. And I know a bunch of other kids are loving it. I hated it.
I think it depends on the style of play. I think knowing the way I played.
I was on a good team. We played right. Everybody was touching the ball. Everybody was shooting. Like, it was nothing like that. We were running up and down a lot. But the only thing for me, was how can a player or a team play like 3 or 4 times in a day? I was one of the main guys too, so I had to play 30 plus minutes. And by the end of the day, I was just tired of it. I'm like, you know what? And then the next day, we had another 2 games or something like that. So for me personally, I hated it. But like you said, I can see why the style of play of some teams, of some players, they can just get the ball and shoot all the time. I had to rely on my point guards to pass me the ball, so that might have an impact on it. But I think it definitely helped me get more exposure. Coming to the States, I knew I was going to go to Northwestern. They were
okay. So
they were the ones that were very interested in me, and I was interested in the program. I knew they needed a center like the place like me, and it was a good school, and so I was like, this is no brainer. I'm going to get minutes right away my freshman year, which is pretty rare, especially Big Ten.
Yeah.
So I knew right away. I actually committed my junior year, but playing in AAU games, I still got some attention. They're like, hey, like I know you're committed, but even before that, like I started to go to. Before I committed, I went to Valpo. I went to other colleges, and I also got a bunch of letters like you did from mine, which was the funniest thing ever. I don't remember the college. Maybe if I remember, I don't even want to say it. I got this letter from this college, and I looked at the letter, and I see Olah Alexandru. And I'm like, are you serious? Like, do you know who you're recruiting? Like, you think you got like a 7-foot, 270-pound girl like coming to play for your college? Like, what? But I don't know, that was funny. And as soon as I saw, it wasn't the only one. I got a bunch of other ones. Like, my name were wrong. I'm just threw them away. I'm like, no, I don't want to see it. Like, you know my name.
Yeah, I wasn't really gonna fill them up and stuff like that. AAU is just it can be different. I played on a big team. I played on a small team. Like you said, it's grueling. I just remember one Sunday, it was Tubby Smith was at Kentucky. He was recruiting me, and we played Friday night. I think maybe it's like 3 games, 4 games on Saturday, and then they told me that night that because the assistant coach saw me Saturday, so I was like, oh yeah, Tubby's gonna see you Sunday or something like that. And I was like, what? I was like, we have a 9 a.m. I was like, that's the only chance too, because we had a 9 a.m. game, and we just played like maybe 8:30 p.m.
Yeah.
and it was like a single elimination. So he had to come that game. So I was like, my golly, like we just played like 5 times in 24 hours. Or I really got to put my best foot forward. It,
Yeah.
it was tough. AAU was different. It was different back then. I don't know right now. I think you know.
Yeah, and that's another topic too. There are so many debates about is this good for the kids or not. I know maybe most of the teams are in for the money. They don't really care about the players as much, or you know. So but that's just another debate that we
Yeah,
can talk some other time.
more insight on that. So hopefully, I'll have some people on this podcast that can tell us more about it.
Yeah.
So how about Northwestern? I mean, you took a big leap, right? You're going to for me, it's the best conference in the U.S. right now. Uh, well, I watch it the most also because I'm a U of M fan, so I do watch it a lot. And then it's a tough league. I mean, and like you said, you're stepping in as a freshman, getting minutes. How is that? Talking about adjustment, I feel like that's a huge adjustment right there. Facing I mean, probably a lot of NBA picks, or
Yeah.
maybe a junior or senior that can be an NBA pick. I mean, I played with Etwan Moore when I was in Italy. Um, I've played against John Johnson
Mhm.
multiple times. So the talent level is there, right? So coming from high school as a freshman, how was that transition for you?
Yeah. Let me remember a little bit. It's been a while, but I think the biggest adjustment was it started from summer school. We went to summer school, and we lifted like crazy, and that was a big adjustment for me coming from Romania. I lifted in high school too, but not as much. I was big, but I was more puffy, I was soft, just fat, no muscle.
You're like Marcus Gasol, right? You saw those
Yeah,
pictures.
so yeah. So going in college, they saw that right away, and they put me in a weightlifting program, diet as well, which I was looking forward to it. And then there were NCAA rules, and there still are, where you cannot practice with coaches. You only have like 3 hours in the summer, and then all these rules. But going in, I thought it was going to be easy, but there's such a big difference between high school and college. Yeah. And the thing was, my freshman year, I played against a bunch. Like I remember, probably the biggest star I played my freshman year, and that still plays in the NBA right now, is Alex Olah. I played against him. It was Big Ten ACC Challenge. We played at home. They smacked us. Unfortunately, they really beat us. But he was an NBA prospect, and playing against him was just like, wow, like I have to work a lot, to get better in myself, to have the chance to compete against these guys, maybe beat them. I don't know. So also I had a lot of learning to do with the coaches, watch video on myself, and the way I play and the way the other players play that I go against. So and also balancing the schoolwork, with basketball, it was challenging for me. Um, Especially because Northwestern is such a good school, I really had to study a lot. But I got my good grades and everything, so that went fine. But yeah, I think those were the biggest adjustments I had to make going in my freshman year. And then um, the Carmody era was over, and Coach Collins from Duke, he was an assistant for Coach K. He was hired as a head coach. Um, my freshman year, even though I played a lot, like it did not go well. So I was thinking about transferring. Fortunately for me, this happened, and I decided to stay. I talked with Coach Collins, and I decided to stay, and that was probably the best thing that ever happened to me. And even still, like it was a big difference between my freshman year and my sophomore year in basketball. he brought the culture from Duke, Coach K, which made me the player I am today. I probably wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him, honestly. So, and that was just another level of basketball I had to adjust to. So, yeah.
That's very cool. And how did that go for you as far as like preparing yourself and your body for what's going to come next? Because at some point you realize that you're good enough and you want to play in the NBA, or you want to try out to play in the NBA. So I know you had a really good senior year. And how did that go for you? How was that summer? You know, leading up to playing for the Pelicans, the summer league. Dealing with agents, dealing with you know maybe offers from overseas, and also at the same time, kind of just balancing the senior year towards the end of it. Yeah, just tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. Um, Going into my senior year, I knew, this is my last dance. This is my last chance to prove something for myself and also leave a good impression at Northwestern. And this is my last chance to go to the NCAA tournament. Um, and so I had to give it all. And unfortunately, I had a stress fracture that took me out for about 3-4 weeks mid-season. And but I was happy the way I ended the season and the way we broke the record for most wins in the season. So I was pretty happy. We didn't make it to the NCAA tournament, unfortunately. But I was pretty happy with myself, especially because my family got to see me. But until the end of the season, until I knew, all right, like that was my last game. Like I did not even think or worry about, who's my agent going to be. Like, am I getting any offers? Should I talk to anybody? Like, no, I have one focus right now: play basketball for Northwestern, and then we'll have time after that. It's not the end of the world. So I just tried to do my best, and I knew also if my team won, like I'll be seen as a better player as well. So that's what we did, and then as soon as the season finished, I got to spend a little bit of time with my family. They were there. They went back home, and then the recruiting process started for an agent. Um, I got a couple calls about like, hey, you want to be my agent or my client, and I'm like, yeah, let's meet. We got some meetings. Some people recommended some agents to me, and then I just basically made a list and like decided based on that list, like, okay, who's helping me now? Who can help me in the future? Am I a top priority to this agent or not? Is he the main agent in the business or in his agency or not? And what other clients does he have? Am I competing with anybody? Like, stuff like that.
It's
I
crucial.
just put
Those are
together.
really good things to tell, especially the young kids coming out right now. I think they don't always understand stuff like little details like you mentioned. Is he the main agent? Is do they who they represent and how many players they have on position, for example. That's the thing. You know, there's a lot of big agencies I know, and a lot of kids kind of just go with, oh man, I like this. It represents so and so from the NBA and stuff like that. But it's yeah, it's a difficult job, and especially for players, it just kind of your future depends on it. In a
Yeah, I
sense.
mean, your whole career depends on it because this is the beginning. This is you know, the way you start your career. I think like sets up everything else. And if you mess up from the beginning, it's tough to recover. So it's a really important job to find the right agent that cares about you and not about money, and that has a vision for you as a player. Where you can end up, and you know he has a path. Like he thinks about a path for you, like what leagues you can play in. You can play in NBA or G League, or
But they have to know. I think a lot of kids need to understand that the agents really need to know basketball. It's not okay negotiating, getting the money right, getting the contracts right, to make sure they guaranteed and all this stuff. That's cool. But I think the agent really needs to know where you fit in as a player, because not everybody can play anywhere, right? Just because the Spanish, the ACB, right, is very different than the Greek league, for example, as far as tempo, as far as physicality, contact. So, are you a physical player? Are you more of a, quickness? Do you always on quickness and not on your physicality? So, stuff like this really matters because you go pick the wrong team, you might get cut as a rookie, and then it's hard to get another job. So, all this stuff is very important. But let's get back to basketball as far as the summer league goes. When I came out, there was a lockout, and I was actually getting ready to go to Phoenix for a training camp for summer league. It's like, oh, my agent calls me. It's like, oh, it's a lockout. That's it. We're done. You're going back. I'm like, oh, really? So, tell me about that. Like, think about, because the summer league, again, it's another step up. Like, it's like a ladder, right? So you start at high school, and you go to college. And then summer league is like somewhat transition between having this really talented rookies, right, coming to the NCAA that are just trying out for the NBA.
Yeah.
G-League guys with a little bit of experience, and you might even have overseas guy that are like young or maybe a little bit older.
Mm-hmm.
Again, are trying to be seen. So you got this mix of things, and from what I heard, practices are pretty tough sometimes. And tell us a little bit about the whole process, the training camp of the summer league, and some of the stuff that you're doing in Vegas to kind of stay focused, because everybody knows there's a lot of distractions in Vegas. Yeah, tell us a little bit about that.
So I knew as soon as I picked my agent, and as soon as I was done with that, I knew it's time to get work. I knew that there might be a chance to play in the summer league. I did not know at that time. I had no idea, but I thought it might be a possibility.
But did you train at Northwestern? Because I know a lot of kids now, they kind of just go and prepare at like facilities or something. Or did you train with your strength coach and your coach at Northwestern?
Exactly. Yeah, I stayed there. I did my work at Northwestern. I also worked out a lot with the player development coach, Ryan Humphrey. He's now an assistant coach at Notre Dame. Yeah. And I worked out a lot with him every morning. I also had an internship. The last quarter of the year, and I did my internship. Before my internship, I had workouts at 5, 6 in the morning. Go to my internship, come back, work out some more, all that kind of stuff.
I mean, it's dedication. I think a lot of young kids, can really understand that it takes dedication, especially if you want to, like you've done this whole thing, doing both, and we've known each other for quite a few years, and you've always looked on the off the court stuff, right? You have to be prepared. I think.
Oh yeah,
it's cool, if you play basketball and you make a lot of money, but you have to be ready for the second part. And you've done that. You've from the get go apparently. So how is that balancing? Trying to focus on knowing you're gonna become a pro, knowing you're gonna make some money off it, and still focusing on your internship. That's pretty interesting. I actually did not know
that. Yeah, yeah. Well, it was tough. It was tough because the internship took a big chunk of my day. I had to work there for 8 hours. So I knew I had to get a workout in the morning, and then wait all these 8 hours in the internship, and then work out the rest of the day. If I was to do it differently, I probably would have taken classes or courses during that time, and maybe I'll space them out so I can actually work out in between. I think that would have been better for me. But it was something I had to do. I was, I do this internship, and I'm done with college. And that feeling, coming from my side of the family or any side, honestly, it was such a big feeling. And my host family really told me, like, listen, you are a really lucky guy. You get to play college basketball at Northwestern, one of the top schools in the country. You can get a degree from there. And I really believed that, and I said like, okay, let's do it. I graduated in communication studies with concentration in English. So just the thought that, hey, maybe one day I can come back to the States. I have this degree. I can get a job, or I can work in Romania. I say, listen, I got a degree in communication in the States from this university. I can get a job here too, especially because English is such a, people look for people look for that. So it was tough throughout my whole career at Northwestern to balance both basketball and schoolwork. It was a lot of work, especially at Northwestern. You go through trimesters, so you have like 3 semesters in 1 year, and the pace of schoolwork is so much faster. You don't do as many papers, or you don't have as many exams, but you have to study and study and study as much as possible. And the professors they do not care that you're an athlete. You got to take your test, you got to take your, whatever. So, but yeah, like I already told my
You guys do team study halls, stuff like that.
yeah, I got team study halls. I had to do that my freshman year, and then towards my senior year, like they went down and down and down. We had an unbelievable support for student athletes over there. We have, student advisors, and we have mentors, or we have all the resources you need for you to be successful. So if you struggle, you can ask for help, and they're going to help you. They're not going to do it for you, but they're going to help you. They're going to tell you like what you need to do, or where to look, or stuff like that. So that definitely helped me. I definitely asked for help for some final papers that were like 15 pages long. Like, okay, I wrote 10. I need 5 more. Like, I don't know what else, right? So
Yeah, but they always
and
point
also
in
stuff
the right direction to
reading.
help you as much as possible. So
Yeah, but like knowing the fact that I'm gonna end up with a degree was so much better, because, like you said, it can be a fallback. It can be a backup. You never know when your career can be over, as we've seen it happen many times with other players where they had career-ending injuries. So just to have this behind you is really, really good, really good. So I recommend, if you can get it, you get it. But also think that basketball is a short career. So if you can make big money right away, don't wait for it. So,
true. But
yeah.
how's the summer league stuff? How's the training camp? The games and stuff like that.
Yeah. So my whole spring I prepared for summer league, and I was ready for it. I even had some workouts with Bulls. I got to test my skills over there too, and I got called to go play for the Pelicans, and I'm like, okay, I'm ready. On my team was then Buddy Hield and Check Yallo. He was kind of like the center of the team. They were the prospects, and when I heard I was going to play for the Pelicans, I was so excited. And going to training camp, it was now over. We still had to make the team, but I was like, man, I just want to be on the team. Like, I know they have a prospect on my position. I might not get many playing minutes, or I might not get any minutes at all. But I knew just the fact that I made it on the summer league team, that can mean something for my future contract, right? But
Validates your own work, right? Because that's what you work for. So it kind of validated, the work you put in before, before the draft and stuff like that.
Exactly. So I said, like, I'm still gonna do the best I can. Who knows? Maybe not Pelicans, but somebody else might see me and want me, on a contract, like a 2-way contract or something. I don't know. But as soon as I got there, the next day we had a morning practice. It was like 2.5 hours long, and oh my gosh, a different level, like speed wise, physicality, tactics, like everything was like another level up. And I thought I was ready. I was in shape. I was running, you know, football field lengths before this. Like I said, like I'm good. I'm good to go. I was not ready. First day, I could barely walk after that, and we had like 2 practices of like 2.5 hours, maybe something like that. But I adjusted really quick. Like I got used to it. After 2 days, I was fine. You know, like all right, let's play now. I'm good to go.
Yeah, it's always
But
an adjustment period.
it is a different level, and everything is really professional, as it is in college. But in NBA, you know, they have more facilities, like more people around. They take really good care of you. They have, you know, cooks, chefs. They have a massage guy for almost every guy. You know, yeah, it was unbelievable. For me, it was just a full-on experience. I'm like, I'm just gonna take advantage of it. You never know, like I might not get this chance again. So it was
And
one in a
after the
lifetime
summer league, then
experience.
you signed in Belgium, right?
Yeah.
After summer league. So how was that? Going to Belgium, the level of basketball there. It's a league that I particularly like, just because of how professional it is. Um, so how was that for you? How was the game as far as I'll compare it to college, not the summer league, right? The summer league,
Yeah.
like we said, it's a different ball game. Compared to college, how was that for you?
Um, it was. I think the biggest difference might be the the amount of workouts and practices we have per week. In college, again, it's that hour limit per week. That's how much you can practice. And I know in Northwestern we were really strict with that. So I don't know in other places, but we always like practice to the minute. Um, and then always like one, maybe two a day with lifts or something like that. But when I came to Belgium, we had two a day pretty much every day except the day before the game. Um, and it was another adjustment for me, and especially because uh, I played, my senior year, and then I worked out hard for the summer league, and then I went to summer league, and then after summer league for a couple of weeks, I went with the national team. That year when they went to Brazil and China. Well, I only ended up in China, in Brazil, so I was working out with them, and then from there I went straight to Mons to Belgium, and
There was no break basically from
there was no break, and I got straight
senior
into
year straight to this. Yeah.
straight into conditioning workouts. Like when you run marathons and sprints, I'm like, listen, guys, I'm in shape. Like I need maybe to take care of my body, not to break it down even more. But that was a big adjustment too. That was a big adjustment too, just to the amount of work hours we have to put in every week. And then the league, I think it was pretty similar. There were many Americans in the league. There were many young players in the league. Always knew Ostend, they're the best team in the league, and they were. They won the championship that year too. Um, but I love it. I love Belgium. Belgium is by far my favorite, country to play in. It's just, I think it's such an easy transition too for any college student that wants to play pro and that want to start in Europe. I think Belgium might be the place to be. Um,
Yeah,
if
it's a
you're
smaller league, a
in the
smaller
team,
number of teams too, and to travel it's a lot easier, than for
yeah,
example, I played in Poland. I mean, we were traveling by bus 10, 12 hours, 13 hours. Go there, sleep, play the next day, come back on the bus
yeah.
12 hours, 13 hours.
No, in Belgium you drive the same day, two
Exactly,
hours
exactly.
before
So
the
it could be
game.
a
You go
little bit
there.
of a easier transition for some rookies,
Exactly.
you know. And then you went from Belgium. Kind of fast forward a little bit right now to the period where you're in Spain, and Spanish basketball has a good reputation as far as the speed of the game, their skill set, passing, shooting, dribbling. It's a whole different ball game. Um, for you, right, as a center, how how has that changed for you? Because to me, the leagues you played in, in some ways they have nothing to do with the way the Spanish teams are. But at the same time, Spanish teams do like bigs like you that can really shoot it. That can they have an array of possibilities on offense, the skill set. So how was that for you transition as far as the speed of the game, the ball movement? Because I think the Spanish basketball is very good at moving the ball.
Yeah. Again, like I feel like my whole life was just trying to adjust, and I think that's you know for every basketball player, if you switch teams or leagues, especially, you got to adjust to everything. But for me, like you said, in Belgium, probably I used to shoot more, especially the season before this. I was using more on pick and pop. I was using some post ups too. Um, but the league was not as physical for me, probably because I was the biggest guy, or one of the biggest guys in the league. So it was more about running, more about setting screens, pick and roll, a lot of pick and rolls. And then when I got to Spain, even second league, uh, it was like a wake up call. Like, dude, like you're going to play against men in here, and the level of physicality is so much higher than I was expecting. Um, I was, you know, so used to running free and then maybe post up and stuff like that. And then when I got here, like the coach was like, "I know you can shoot. You can shoot. I'll let you shoot, but we need you in the post up." So I'm like, "All right, like, I got to change my game. Let's go in the post up. I have my moves, but I got to work on them a lot more." But then also, like I said, the level of physicality. There's a bunch of good centers in the league, and teams. They have this philosophy that you need a big center on the team. You cannot win without a big center on the team. And so you can imagine there are a bunch of good players in the league that fit that well.
The Spanish basketball has been like that. If you look over the past few years and before that, to me, they're like one of the last countries that still, use 7-footers. I would say the right, like if you look at Ante Tomic right now, and I really love his game. Or you look at Borussis, okay, he's towards the end of his career, but same thing. They've all had a lot of success in Spain and with Spanish teams. So yeah, I mean, it's just different the way they think and the way they process basketball. And like you touched on it a little bit, like how you're used to Belgium running free and stuff, and coming here. Um, yeah, every league is different. Every country is different. I think that's what a lot of people, especially players, need to understand. Just kind of know where you're signing, know where you're going. Because even when I got to Greece, I was just, it was a very tactical league. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's a very well coached league.
Yeah.
Very tactical, right? So
Yeah.
it was just one of those things that like maybe the 2, 3 threes that I would get away with in some other games on like a pick and pop or on a ball movement type, late rotation. It's like they know, who's the shooter and
Yeah.
what are chances he's going to penetrate. So like this year, for example, I never got fouled so much in shooting threes than this year. I mean, it was like 1 or twice per game. I was shooting like 6 free throws a game, and I was like, guys, why? And they just closed out so hard. They just took their risks, right? But it's can like lower my percentage. So
Yeah. See, here in Spain is kind of opposite. I mean, I guess it's also on the coach, but like for example, our philosophy is don't let people penetrate. Like if they penetrate, then you have to make rotations, and it's going to create a bigger mess and maybe easier buckets. So like if a guy shoots with your hand in his face, like whatever. So you see like different philosophy from the coaches, but also maybe I haven't actually looked at it, but I think that's the philosophy in Spain overall.
Yeah, for me, the Greek league this year was absolutely the most scouting, even more than college that we've done. Like you just know everything, and you have to know when you close out which hand you got to push into.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
right, or pulling up on that. So it was just really, um, I would say, detailed. Like I said, to the dot. Like it was a bit crazy. And just going back to why I was getting fouled so much too. I was like, because you're not blocking my shot. I was like, I'm let it fly, and I'm gonna wait for you to foul me. Like a lot of times, I would just release the ball. I had no idea where it goes. I would just release it, and I would just wait because I see you close out so
Well,
hard, and I know the scouting report because I was like, okay, so they want to close out hard. I mean, that's fine. I could put the ball on the floor. I could just get 3 free throws out of it. A lot of times, it was just that. It was just playing the game.
yeah,
Like coming off a
yeah. I
ball.
got to be smart about it.
Yeah, we had a pin down. I'll play off the pin down. I'm like, okay, he's trailing me. He's gonna close out hard because he knows I want to shoot it. So I would just release the ball, like not even follow through. Just let it go. And I'm like, I'm waiting, and he just follow me, stuff like that. And same thing
Yeah.
with playing France, right? It was like you're saying, it was a free flowing game. It's a different style, and I think
Yeah.
that's huge for. Especially for rookies, once you play 1-2 years in Europe, you kind of understand everything. But to me, it's the same, like you said, France was. I love the league. Maybe because I grew up in American basketball,
Hmm.
but I love the league. I love the flow of it. Even the speed of it, and it was a good place to play. And that was my second year, so yeah. So what are your plans going forward right now? I mean, I know it's a difficult situation, dealing with teams, and I know we talked about that you're kind of missed all your flights, so you're stuck in Spain for TBD.
Who knows how long? Yeah, who knows how long? But yeah, I guess the immediate plan is try to get home, but get home safely, and then try to see if I can do workouts and where I can go to do some workouts, um, and try to get better for the next year. I definitely know some stuff I need to work on, and it's a process. It's a
I
process,
told you
especially
before,
now.
you're more than welcome to come to hoop drills. Uh,
Hey,
we have a great trainer there, so
I know. I heard a lot of good stuff about hoop drills.
yeah, so that would be great. But how do you process this? Just one last thing: how do you process this mentally? Um, for me personally, it was just I don't know if it was tough. It was kind of expected once I saw things developing. I was like, it's just the normal thing is to kind of cancel the league and we move on, and let's hope that basketball is going to be back in the fall. But how do you process this mentally as a professional athlete? Like I said, this is our income, this is our livelihood. It's everything's like TBD right now, right? The discussion of the salaries, how much our players going to get paid, when, and also like you don't know when your next check is coming from your next team or your next destination, right? So how do you process this mentally? How do you try to cope, with this period?
It's one of those things where you got to do what you can control. You cannot control the virus, or you cannot control other extraordinary events. But I'm using this time to develop, on other sides of like personal development, or I'm reading a bunch of books about finances or marketing. I love marketing, and that's my hobby. I like to do a bunch of stuff in that niche. Um, I'm also thinking about the future, like what do I want to do in the future? How can I get ahead? Even if it's not my time to retire yet, like can I do something to get ahead? And maybe when I'm done with basketball, I can pick it up from where I left it off. And
It's another transition. It's going to be another adjustment, another transition right then. So
yeah, yeah, if you can get
slower you
ahead,
take it
like
now, the easier it's going to be then.
exactly, exactly. And right now, the best you can do is just be safe, stay at home, and work on other stuff. Try to improve mentally. Like I know it's tough because the season just stopped like midway. You were in the toughest shape of the season, so like you were
Ready for the
mentally
playoffs.
there,
The
and then
most important
suddenly it
part
just
of the
stops.
season.
It's tough. tough, but you got to find out yourself by reading, by watching documentaries, or just relaxing, stay with your family. As a basketball player, you don't get a chance maybe as much uh, because you're always on the road, you have practice, you have time, and then when things get back to normal, get back to work. That's kind of like what I think.
So that's a good mentality. We can end on that, right? Control what you can control.
Yeah.
That's all we can do. Well, Alex, thank you for your time, and
Yeah.
we'll talk soon.